Hey, what's happening? Before we jump into the show, I wanted to see if you had any music on a hard drive. You have a band, you have a project, and you want to self-release your own music. Well, there's an easy way to do it. You can go to distrokid.com/VIP/hyphenate and go get your music up on all the streamers. You keep 100% of your royalties, and you can get 30% off by using this code. It's a great, easy way to get your music up on the streamers and share it with your fans, your friends, your family, your mom, your dog, everybody. Everyone wants to hear it. But go to distrokid.com/VIP/hyphenate, HYPHENATE, and send me the link. I want to hear it too. Send your mom the link. Send your dog the link. They all want to hear it too. We'd like to thank our sponsor, iZotope, the absolute leaders in intuitively designed plugins for audio restoration, mixing, and mastering. At iZotope.com, you'll find a plethora of tools and suites that will enhance your audio production, whether it's voice, video, podcast, or a full production recording session. Check out the industry-standard audio repair tool, RX11, or the multi-tool mixer plugin, Neutron 5, or the powerful Ozone 11 mastering suite, plus tons more. Go to iZotope.com and use the code FRET10 at checkout for 10% off. That's FRET10 to get 10% off at checkout. And again, the website is iZotope.com, IZOTOPE.com.
By them coming through gender affirming care for trans folk, they're coming for us too. They're coming for you. They're coming for me. They're coming for all of us. Because right now we are about to rip the fucking veil off of this bullshit in the way that only Gen X and punk rock knows how to do, which is by opposing authority.
Fuck yeah. Alicia J. Rose, my guest today on Hyphenate with me, your host, Randy Randall. I'm very excited to share this conversation that I have with filmmaker, musician, artist, all-around creative, visionary punk, Alicia Rose. She has an incredible movement, I'll call it. I mean, it's in practical terms, it's a film. It's a documentary called Menopunks about the lies of hormone replacement therapy, according to her research. We'll get into it in the story, and just the benefits of hormone replacement therapy for women as they enter the menopause phases, and there are a few. So I've been learning about this, through my experience as a husband, as a partner, as an aging man, as an aging punk myself, and an ally and friend, husband, lover. I'm learning about all sorts of aspects of life that don't necessarily apply to me, but have been so fascinating and just so real. And I think these, gender politics are everyone's politics. It's not just abortion isn't a woman's issue. It's a health issue. It's a life issue. It's a men and women's issue. It's politics. It's freedom of autonomy of body. Trans rights aren't just for trans people. This is about protecting people's rights to be who they are and to be themselves and to not be persecuted for existing. So I was very fortunate that on this week's episode, my wife, Shannon Randall, is joining me for this conversation because as I was telling her about Alicia and about her story and the project she was working on, she was very personally interested in hearing more about this, and obviously has firsthand experience in these issues. And I think it's incredible. I'm so stoked. I mean, I was radicalized after this conversation, and I hope you are too. You can go to Menopunks.com. That's MENOPUNKS.com to buy merch. The merch looks great. To find out more, to watch clips, to watch the teaser trailer, to see all of the ways you can support the film and this project directly. You can also go to Instagram and follow Menopunks on Instagram, same thing. You can get updates. You can see all the incredible, great women participants in this project. And there's another link that's on Reddit. That's what was this? This is the Reddit Gen X women, and it's a Menopunks documentary thread that's there, and it's incredible. I mean, I think it's really something that came on my screen, or on this idea even when I was doing last month and month before doing all of the pavement documentary stuff, where I was really fascinated at how this Gen X generation is entering into a new phase of not just nostalgia, but just you're dealing with things that were for older people. Gen Xers have entered another phase of their life. And part of that is, the look back, the documentaries, the nostalgia, the poking the traditions in the eyes, but, doing it all with a Gen X flair of sarcasm and punk and nihilism, but also, unbelievable optimism and, just beyond revolutionary fervor and zeal, the roots of Riot Girl, the roots of grunge, alt rock, whatever you want to call it, college radio, punk through the 90s, stem from this generation. And I think so much of what I've been a fan of musically, artistically, culturally, was sort of built. I'm standing on the shoulders of this Gen X generation, my generation. I guess I'm born in 81, so I'm somewhere a cuspy millennial Gen X-y person. But these are my heroes. This is the older brother generation that I looked up to. And so I'm fascinated to sort of see how these next years go. And obviously, dealing with aging issues and dealing with just health issues in general. I mean, we deal with that at all ages, but specifically when it comes to, lies and government interference in health and safety and just the ability to live the best life you can, especially with whatever years you have. And as those years, become shorter rather than longer, it's maximally important to really do everything you can. And, I am not a doctor. I am not a physician, far from it, but I have had a lot of surgeries and I've been through a lot of different health procedures for myself and for my family. And it's fascinating. You need advocacy, and you need, no matter what side of the political spectrum you're on, if you say you're doing your own research, really do your own research and listen and find out what makes sense for you and question these things. I think what Alicia is doing with the Menopunks movement and film, it will be another revolution in this understanding, and hopefully benefit a large amount of the population here. So I'm very happy to share my conversation with Alicia Rose coming up next. And remember, go to menopunks.com to buy awesome merch and to support the movement. All right, here we go. Here's my conversation with Alicia Rose. Alicia, thank you so much for joining me on Hyphenate. This is a very special episode where I brought in my wife, Shannon Randall, to co-host this with me, because we're talking about a subject that is very much focused on women and women's health. And so I figured as much as I am an advocate, I can't speak directly to this experience. So I wanted to bring in my better half here to help kind of guide this conversation a little bit. So thanks, Shannon, for coming on. Thank you, Alicia.
Of course, Randy, thanks for having me. I'm Shannon Randall. I have a background in health and media and marketing. And when Randy told me about bringing you on, Alicia, and your efforts with Menopunks, I was like devouring everything about Menopunks, just the name and the logo, looking at your Instagram and your website, menopunks.com. And I said, well, you can't be the only one talking to her. We have to have more female representation. So I wanted to join.
Hell yes.
We could talk about it.
Awesome. Cool.
I love it. Yeah.
Oh, no. Sorry. You go.
I was just going to say, so lovely to meet both of you. So excited to be on Hyphenate. As you know, I am so many hyphenates, I've lost track. So it's such a great fit and such a cool situation. I love talking to both of you. This is my favorite ever podcast because of this situation right now. So yay. What a great way to like share the sort of platform, Randy. I think this is amazing. So yay. Glad you're here.
Awesome. Super cool. Yeah. Well, so tell me a little bit about yourself. Where are you from and how did you get started in the creative process in music and art? in film?
Oh my God. I don't know if you've Googled me, but I'm
Yeah.
old. I'm 55. And originally, I mean, I started everything really in San Francisco in the early 90s. I'm a musician. I went under the name Miss Murgatroyd for many years, playing the accordion through distortion pedals and oddly like touring the world, which was strange. I opened for Steel Pole Bathtub in Japan, all kinds of crazy things. Made 5 or 6 records, 2 with my friend Petra Hayden. And also at that same time, around when I began Miss Murgatroyd, I also started in the music business. I started booking nightclubs in the early 90s. I booked probably the most well-known one is the Chameleon, which was in the Missions District of San Francisco. And I literally was 20 when the owner came and recruited me from a cafe job because I was a DJ at KUSF. And she's like, I want you to book my club. And I was like, well, you have to wait till I'm 21 because it's a old nightclub. And she did. And so a few months later, I booked my first club in San Francisco. And then that led me into playing more as a musician. And then also it led me into the music business. I wound up being in music distribution for a long time. And when I moved to Portland, I started kind of with distribution and I had 3 jobs at once when I first moved here in 1995, which by the way, I think today is the 30-year anniversary of me moving to Portland, literally today. So great time. But so I got deep into distribution. I worked for Subterranean Distribution, a short time for Revolver Distribution. I've worked at 7 record stores over the course of time. And then eventually I left distribution to go back to music booking. And I became the founding booker of Doug Fir Lounge here in Portland, RIP. And then after that, I became the founding booker of the new and improved Mississippi Studios. And then after that, kind of the shit hit the fan with my music business career. And I just kind of got spiraled into a crazy place. Then I started my own production company, really digging into making films and music videos and photos and all the things that I do. Long, short
cool.
explanation.
Yeah, no, that's and a million things in between all of those. I'm sure. Doug Fir was that the hotel that was attached to the Ace Hotel? Yeah, one of the first ones up there, right? Yeah, just
not the Ace, the Jupiter.
No, the Jupiter. Okay, was that wasn't related in the same world of that? Okay.
No. The Ace is downtown. The Jupiter's on the east side. What made Doug Fir so cool, and I'm just so heartbroken that it's gone, frankly, but what made it so cool when it opened, I was like, oh, maybe I want to book clubs again because that's cool. This is interesting. Yeah. There's a hotel, which will make things so much easier for touring bands. The venue itself was just world-class, beautiful, funky, stylish, all the things. And I was like, okay, I kind of am bummed that I left my booking career in a flame of 25-year-old non-glory and moved to Portland. Maybe I can come back to it. And so I, in fact, did after getting out of distribution, that kind of falling apart in a different way. I've just pitched myself as the booker and they somehow believed it and bought it. And so I started part-time, then eventually full-time in that particular venue. I mean, I think we and some other venues in town really changed the music scene and business in Portland. It's just incredible. So really, yeah, it's a great venue. It no longer is there. Unfortunately, it was shut down after 20 years, but it really was one of a kind.
Yeah, it was legendary. And then, yeah, Shannon, I know you grew up in the Bay Area in the 90s up in the Marin Bay Area. So
yes.
There's a lot of crossover.
So I just love the positioning of Menopunks, that it comes from this perspective of defiant Gen X. And I think we can get into that a little bit in terms of the people that you interview to tell their stories. But I think we can talk a little bit about how you got the idea to start making this film, Menopunks.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm a musician, amongst other things. Maybe it's 8 hyphenates. I'm unsure because now dahlia grower and obsessed person is part of that. I also grow dahlias now. But I'm a musician and I've been a musician since the early 90s. And in the early 90s, I met all the people in my movie, really. I've been friends with Corin Tucker, Jody Bliley, Kathy Foster, Gilly Ann Hanner, and Jen Spraja in one form or another, since 1991. I met Corin when she played her first show as Heavens to Betsy at the International Pop Underground Festival in 91 in Olympia, which I drove up to. And I right as I began booking the Chameleon in San Francisco, and I was just immediately obsessed. I've been a fan ever since. And, over the years, because I worked in music distribution and nightclubs and the whole thing, I've either booked their bands, known them as people in the community, or they've worked for me at Neil Distribution, which was the case with Kathy Foster from the Thermals and Gillian Hanner from Calamity Jane and now Desir. I mean, a long time ago, they worked for me, like in the early 2000s, or in the 90s. I think Gilly, maybe it was like 97. She'll appreciate this. She was a terrible salesperson, but she was a sweetheart. Her and Larry Crane from Tape Op were like two of my salespeople. They both, to this day, are like, we sucked. And I was like, you did, but I love you. So it's fine. So I've known these women for 30 years, and two of them specifically, Jen Spraja from the Softies and All Girl Summer Fun Band, and Kathy, Gillian Hanner, who I mentioned from Calamity Jane and Desire. We're just all pals, and we've played with each other's bands, and we go to each other's shows, and I'll just tell you how the seed of the movie began, because it's sort of, it has morphed a little bit, but basically we played a show. My band is called Party Witch. We're a witch wave power trio. I play synth, and I'm the lead singer, which is all crazy because I never imagined any of those things for myself. But, when you get frustrated as a middle-aged person and just start to play like as a release in a religious commune with whatever the spirit is, just for getting the yayas out, you get good at it, I guess, after a million times of doing it. So now I'm a synth player and a singer. And the election happened, and the day after, I have been teaching filmmaking, another hyphenate. I'm an educator. I've been teaching filmmaking at a school called Northwest Academy here in Portland. It's my first year as like artist in residence for Portland Art Museum, teaching filmmaking. And the day after the election, I went into class, and I just was with these teenagers, these high schoolers, and I was like, what happened? What is this world we live in? And they all had great, amazing opinions. It was fascinating. And by the end of the class, I'd given them an assignment that was basically like, okay, you're going to make a short film next semester, but here's the rub. It has to have a core of advocacy and activism, no matter what you're doing it about, whether it's a simple thing or a complex thing. Just find a way to sort of advocate for something, whether it's kids not being dumb or whatever, like, I don't care. So I gave him this assignment, and then, just rattled around in my head. And then just 4 days later, we played a show at a comic book store, which was amazing, called Books with Pictures here in Portland. Party Witch, free show, because we happen to be, I don't know if I have it around, but we happen to be, I have it right here. I'll show you. It's so cool. Party Witch is on the cover of a comic.
That's awesome.
Oh, cool.
FML comic. And so my bandmate, my drummer, who is an incredible editor, independent comic book editor, her name's Shauna Gore. She had made a situation where we had to play this show, and I really wanted to get out of it. I was like, I can't do this. I am so just despondent from this hellscape we've just entered into, and so depressed, but yet she forced me. I don't regret it. She's like, you have to. We told them it's going to be good for us. It's a free show. We're not getting paid. It was completely one of those things. It's a comic book store. We were the only band playing. So like, if we didn't show up, there would be no show. So I was like, okay. I went to the show. We played the show, and it wound up being maybe one of my favorite shows ever, because it was like 15, 20 people who were there, including like these two women, Gillian Hanner and Jen Spraja, and many more of my friends who were middle-aged ladies. And it just was so cathartic and perfect. And I realized so many of our songs that I wrote around the time of the last election are even more relevant now. And I felt this new passion in singing them. There's one about Greta Thunberg. There's others about just empowerment and like, changing everything, with your own power. And anyway, I stood outside of the venue, meaning the comic book store, and I was just chatting with Jen and Gilly, and I'm like, we were talking about how we're all in bands, we're playing with each other, and why do we feel so good when we were feeling so bad 2 years ago? And we're like, oh yeah, we're all on HRT. What's that about? And so I was like, this is crazy. Like, did you ever think you would be doing this at 55? Like, what? This is weird. Like, what is going on? And they're like, no, I did not. I go, I did not either. This is not what I thought would be happening 30 years ago at all. But actually, like, I'm making better music than ever. I'm a better musician than ever. It's just, so we were all just kind of marveling at this. And I was like, this is what I want to make a movie about. I want to make a movie about us doing this. Like, how does this happen? In Portland, there's like a gazillion bands like us. Well, not a gazillion, but a lot. And, the women are still playing, all people in their 50s and 60s and even 70s and 40s. Everybody's still playing here. We have the scene to support it. I helped build it. So now I get to enjoy it. And that's how it began. But originally it was called a movie called Lifers. So it has gone through some changes.
And so it seems like you took on the assignment that you gave your own students. You told them focus on advocacy and activism. And so you thought, what is my issue and my platform? That's awesome.
And also, like, I mean, I call myself an osmosis learner, and I have ADHD, so it's very much skill collecting, right? But like, I just, sitting with those kids, even for a semester, it just starts to filter into your head, like, what kind of thing do I want to do next as a film? Because I'd made a feature that came out in 2022, and I make music videos, I do commercial stuff and blah, blah, blah. But like as a filmmaker, what was going to be my second film? And so I wanted to be something, and I thought about lots of ideas, rom-com this, like about 50 something woman Tinder, which is like my story with my partner. All these other ideas, sci-fi thing. But then I was like, the election happened, and I was like, I cannot look myself in the mirror if I don't like do something with this movie that will help move the conversation forward. And I didn't know if that was really going to happen with this project. I mean, it is happening with this project in a way I could never have imagined, but that was kind of my deal. I was like, I just can't live with myself if I don't try to help or do something that at least kind of gets into that zeitgeist of sort of trying to move things. Cause I'm 55. Like, when is my time going to be any better? When will I know as much as I know now? When will I have the platform I have now with the 30 music videos that I've made and the gazillion careers I've helped build with booking and photography and, like when? So I figured now.
Yeah. So it seems like with your platform and what I see, the tagline for Menopunks is really a demand for hormonal optimization. And so could you tell us a little bit more, like maybe we could dig into a little bit more of the science and the healthcare side of things. What does hormonal optimization mean for you and for this film?
Well, I'm going to go back one step before I talk about that and tell you how Menopunks properly was born, because it all ties in together.
Okay, great.
But basically, the film at first was called Lifers because we call ourselves that in the rock world, like rock lifers. And I was all excited. I bought the website, blah, blah, blah. And then like everything kept getting delayed. I thought, I'm going to make this concept teaser really quickly. I'll do it in December. But things got delayed. Things kept getting delayed. I'd asked Corin to be in that film, whatever Lifers was going to be, and Gilly and Jen. But I hadn't talked to Jody or Kathy yet. And I was like, oh yeah, Lifers, this is going to be so great. I love this idea. It's about us making music, our whole lives. We're not going to stop. And HRT is helpful. So it was kind of like women making music till they die with a side of HRT and menopause, right? Like that was the original idea for the film. But then as things got more and more delayed by various personal things from my cast members and my own life, suddenly it's like March, I think. And my producers, I have multiple producers, but my two main producers, Jackie Weissman and Laura Cuddy. Jackie Weissman and I had both been mentors for a women in film program called Educate Incubate. And we had this conversation after like this big celebration for it. She's like, what are you doing? Lifers. And so we started talking about it. And she then basically, I asked her for help finding menopause specialists to talk to in the context of what we were doing for the film. And she sent me to this incredible menopause specialist doctor here in Portland named Aoife O'Sullivan. And we got on the Zoom with her probably like, early March, I think, or late February. And she blew my mind. She's incredible. And, my thing about like understanding that HRT has been so transformative for me, she really validated it. And she's like, well, actually, we're having a convention, the very first Portland PDX Menopause Collective convention in 2 weeks. And I was like, you're kidding. I want to come. I'll film it. I'll take pictures. So can I get in for free? I needed to be on the guest list. You guys know what that's all about. So it's like, put me on the guest list. So I brought my camera. I brought Laura Cuddy, my producer, and for the next, 5 hours, I was basically radicalized. I now call it hormonal radicalization because I was radicalized. What I heard in this conference, which I thought was all people like me, but it wasn't. I'll tell you about that later. What I heard was like every fear was dispelled. Every sort of hunch was validated. And then things I never expected to understand or be disturbed by why we have all this information, this information was revealed. And I was like, holy crap. Like by the end of it, they had a Q&A and then asked whomever was also a medical practitioner to raise their hand. In the room, there's like 200 people there. I kid you not, like 90% of the people raised their hands. And I was like, oh shit, it's not me. It's not us. It's the doctors. It's the medical practitioners. Like they're punk too. So I was having a debrief with my producer Laura, and I was like, oh my God, the punks are in menopause and the menopause doctors are punk. Menopunks! It was like, I was like, oh my God, Laura, is anybody taking this? I need to know. So immediately, like within 3 seconds, I had gotten the Instagram, I'd gotten the website, I did it all, everything. I got an LLC, like within 24 hours, I was like, this is what the movie is. And so my original participants were like, well, how does that apply to what you were doing? And I was like, let me tell you. And so that's when it kind of shifted into what it is. Because I really, I realized at first that like, those of us that are hormonally optimized, which I'll talk about what that is in a second, are thriving, like beyond thriving. Like we, what was bringing us down every single day was now lifting us up. And that was crazy. And what the hell? I thought it caused cancer. What's that about? Right? Like I'm confused. So I wanted to know more. And so I kind of started moving the film into that direction. And really it started with I knew it would work if I did this. My very first interview was with Dr. Aoife O'Sullivan, who was one of the main doctors at the PDX Menopause Collective. And she continued to radicalize me. She's an absolutely incredibly fierce advocate for menopause care, perimenopause care, and the truth behind the disinformation about HRT. And that's when I really started getting that not only have we been saddled with like 23 years of disinformation, but that there's actually like truly like an active conspiracy to fuck with us and to fuck with HRT on a level that is mind-boggling. So that led me into the rabbit hole of everything. And that's kind of where I'm at now, trying to put all the pieces together of what went down 23 years ago and what continues to go down now. But hormonal radicalization, hormonal optimization. I mean, people talk about HRT as like, get on HRT, get on blah, blah. But HRT is a really broad term, right? It can mean lots of things. And what we thought was HRT, which originally was sort of like, horse urine, equine estrogen mixed with like synthetic progestin, which is not even like bioidentical. It has changed. And what we are taking now, for the most part, most women are put on what's called, it's not technically really this, but it's called bioidentical HRT, which is estradiol and progesterone that literally exactly matches the chemistry of what is in our bodies. Exactly. So when we hit perimenopause, which until I went to the collective conference, I didn't really understand can start as early or even earlier than 35. 35. Come on now. What the fuck? If I'd known all of this at 35.
For me early.
Oh, it's just like, I didn't understand that. I thought, so what, my hip hurts, so what, my head hurts, so I can't concentrate on anything. I'm just getting old. That's what we all think. Or then eventually I thought I was dying, or I had hip cancer, right? So I thought I wanted to try it because I did a bunch of, armchair research before I was doing any of this 2 years ago. I was like, oh my God, this is hitting me hard. I was melting down like with hot flashes. My hip hurt so much I couldn't sleep. I could barely stand. I couldn't go to a rock show. I couldn't even practice, like unless I was sitting down. I mean, this is terrible. And I got an x-ray. I went to like a specialist. I tried to figure out what was wrong with me, and it never got better. And I was like, this is terrible. Like, what is going on? And then the hot flashes especially led me into wanting to find some care, right? I was like, I can't be on stage and literally like fall into like a Wicked Witch of the West, like pile of goo. Like, this is what is happening. Like, I'm like melting in a way that is horrible. So what can I do about this? And so I just started doing my own research and eventually like asked my doctor at Kaiser if I could try it. And she said no. Originally, she's like, well, what are your symptoms? And I was like, well, I have this and I have that. And she's like, well, I don't think you really are basically suffering enough or are quite, I was like 52. I'm fucking 55. Come on now. She's like, you're not really suffering enough and not really old enough. So you're not really quite there. You're still having a period. So let's just wait. And I'm like, I don't want to wait. Like, I feel terrible. I'm not getting any sleep. My TMJ is worse. Like, I'm pinging attention wise. So I just tried everything in the book. After that, I tried ashwagandha. I tried black cohosh. I tried all the wives' tales, whisper network, things that could maybe help. I had 5 fans. I had a fan around my neck when I went to New York to film. Like, every day I was just like constantly being fanned. And it got so bad that it was just untenable. Nothing was helping. And so I decided to just take my own healthcare into my own hands. And I just went commando, not with clothing, but with healthcare into the system of Kaiser. And I just basically went through telehealth and demanded HRT by saying that my quality of life had been suffering, which is true. And I had sort of done enough research to know that if I said the words quality of life, I might actually get the care I want and not pushed off. So I did that. And I literally, by the end of that conversation, had a prescription for HRT. Yeah. And so that began kind of my journey.
I like what you said about the Whisper Network, because that really... in my circle of women friends, it's very similar. We're all sharing stories of like whose doctor's prescribing what. I had menopause very early and I didn't have any symptoms, but one of my symptoms was fertility issues. So I had to figure that out along the way. And then now in my late 40s, this group of women that I talk to about our doctor appointments and our HRT is very similar. Some doctors are very quick to give the estradiol patches and the progesterone pill, but not the testosterone. I just spoke with a doctor yesterday who said, "Oh, only men get that men only get it covered by insurance, not women." So she was saying even my doctor said, "Oh, well, you talk to this other doctor." So every doctor is different in their comfortability with prescribing. And so we're all in this, like you said, the Whisper Network of women sharing their own personal stories. Like, who's your doctor? Who's your doctor? What does your doctor say? And so that's what I love most about the film, is that you're bringing it more into the public light. So that people find it easier to have these conversations.
Well, what do we say? We're trying to take a Whisper Network and turn it into a scream, a very punk rock scream. The worst part about all of this, all of it, is that the misinformation about HRT, and it's misinformation. HRT does not cause cancer. It does not cause cancer. But I'll just say this:
go ahead.
The misinformation about this is so bad and so baked into the medical system that so often we are teaching our doctors how to care for us and what we need to do it. There is still like next to no training still in the medical establishment. It's rough. They have to seek it out and find it if they want it. It is not standard. Like they basically get, if they're lucky, a week on women's midlife care. It is half of our lives and it is half the population. It's ridiculous.
So if you were to give us a little bit of a history lesson, on your website, menopunks.com, you talk about 23 years ago, there was the Women's Health Initiative study. And then that's where it made these false claims that HRT causes cancer and other issues. Maybe you can give us a little bit of an overview of what that study was, and maybe even the generation before, like we're Gen X. Did boomers get HRT and then all of a sudden it stopped? Like maybe just a big picture of that study.
Oh my gosh. Okay, this is going to be fun. Stop me if you have questions in the middle, because I will. It's kind of like a sitch, and I am like so deeply in the rabbit hole of this, and like I'm now an investigative journalist. Apparently, like we're going to break this, and we want to change this for all women. I'm not fucking around. I have done all the publicity things. I've helped a lot of people get very famous. Fuck all that. I want to use everything I've ever learned now to change this for women forever, because it is, quote, one of the doctors I've been talking to, and I'm going to go back to the beginning, but Wolf Utian, who's literally like he founded the North American Menopause Society and the International Menopause Society. He calls it, quote, the biggest misdirection in the history of women's health. He also said it was criminal and immoral. So, I mean, once I tell you this, you're going to be pissed. I'm just going to let you know. And I am banking on Gen X and Gen X musicians being fucking pissed, because the only thing that's going to change this is our anger, and Gen X specifically, because we know how the fuck to do anger. So in the 90s, I go back, la, la, la. You can tell I'm a filmmaker. I'm like, preface, the end. Now we go back to the beginning.
It was the 90s.
So back in the 90s, HRT was a big deal, right? Like 25% of women within like 35 to forever, 25% in 1995, we're on HRT. It was a revolution, okay? I just picked up, a friend sent me an article, a Time magazine article from 1995 that was like the estrogen dilemma or something like that. And the dilemma was that women were popping it like candy, and that they thought, oh my God, this is crazy. It's the fountain of youth. The whole article was kind of fucked up because sort of geared it towards women wanting to be young and sexy for men and blah, blah, blah. But really it was kind of about like women realizing they could feel good and not have to suffer through menopause, and that if even during perimenopause, as soon as they started feeling one symptom, they could get help for it. And oh my God, like they felt good. Like 90% of women were feeling amazing. And this was this whole thing. And so the dilemma in the magazine was like, how do we stop this? How do we curb this? Like, is this a problem? Is it not a problem? 25% of women, oh my God, like this is huge. The prospect is they're going to take HRT till they die, but be healthy forever. It's going to protect them against all these diseases. Oh my God, but is this terrible or is this good? This was 1995, okay? So in 1993, a study called the Women's Health Initiative Study was brought forth as like the first study to really comprehensively study women's health. I mean, before this, it was little things. For the most part, every single thing we know as modern medicine was based on studies of men, not studies of women. I mean, it's still like aspirin was never tested on women. Like we're still so far behind, right? I can see the nods knowing that, but it was crazy. And so the tide was turning in 93, right? Like this is all going to be in the movie, but the tide was turning and Clinton was becoming president. There was women in Congress who were reaching their 50s and wondering about HRT. And one of the doctors we're talking to, Dr. Robert Langer, he had a study right before the WHI called the PEPI study that actually studied women in perimenopausal age from 35 to 50 in the 80s. And it was like way less women, like 3,000 women. But it had turned out that like in that study, HRT was shown to be wildly successful, wildly effective. 90% of women in this study benefited in an incredible way. And so it was like this, oh my God, and women were on it. Everybody who was young was on it. And the WHI study was actually intended as a study for just older women and primarily as a cardiovascular study, right? For women between the ages of 50 and 79. It wasn't actually a study about women who really needed it the most, who were suffering the most. It was for women who were past it. And they wanted to know, quote, if HRT could be the fountain of youth forever for older women. They saw, wow, it's doing so well for younger women. Can it be used forever by us, women in Congress, Nancy Pelosi? And she was involved, like all these women. So they're like, wow. So money got allocated, like almost $1 billion got allocated. A woman took over the I think the World Health Organization, and the WHI was, I hit my computer. And the WHI was born, right? And this was a study that was like hundreds of thousands of women were going to be involved. They were going to study them over many years. This was going to be just an estrogen only arm and estrin, or like a synthetic estrogen, synthetic progesterone arm of the study. A lot of women were going to be looked at, and they were really going to finally get to the bottom of like, how does it affect especially older women, right? Well, this was a big deal. It was huge. So this was the moment in the early 90s when Riot Grrrl was also happening, when punk broke, as we all know, right? Like when Nirvana became huge, when I was booking The Chameleon and I was 21 this is that moment, right? When suddenly music was democratized, right? Punk democratized it. And, I was playing avant-garde accordion and touring in Japan. Kathleen Hanna was doing her thing in Bikini Kill, and, Corin Tucker was in all of her bands, Heavens to Betsy, eventually Sleater Kinney with Carrie, and a million other things. We all know the history of Riot Grrrl and stuff like that. Probably if you're listening to this, especially because you've listened to interviews with Maggie Vale and other amazing people that you've interviewed. But, so this was the moment, right? This heady time where like suddenly like young women were like, yes. And older women were like, yes. Like everybody was fucking psyched because they're feeling good and we're expressing ourselves. So let's get on this big study, right? Okay. So that was great. That's basically what the WHI was. And it was sort of in study for all of the 90s. And women continued to, hormonally optimize, meaning taking hormones, HRT, to optimize their endocrine systems, right? Because when we go into menopause, especially perimenopause and menopause, we don't just sort of slowly shift into it. We go off a motherfucking lemming cliff. The shit is real. We go like this, then we go, and then we are in pain and we are suffering. It is no joke. If it's a slide, it's a real fast slide, and it's really uncomfortable in a million different ways. It's terrible. So women were, feeling good. It was a really big time in the 90s for, and it also in the 80s and the 70s. HRT has been available since pretty much the early 70s. I'm watching the Ms. magazine doc right now. If you think about the history of women's liberation and feminism and change, it tracks. And abortion freedom and rights, bodily autonomy, it all tracks with HRT. And women feeling good, right? And having the energy to participate in societal discourse and change, right? This is where I know I probably sound like a conspiracy theorist, but like and why me as a musician of all people is making these connections, I don't really, it seems ridiculous to me. But I think because I'm looking at it from the creative process, it really led me down this sort of like rabbit hole of like, well, wow, if I can be even a better musician, if I have the energy and I'm optimized, you know, what would this do for everybody? And like, why did I have such a hard time getting it? Right. Like, these are all my questions. But by 2003, when the study's results were released, and it was actually, the study was stopped because of these results, quote unquote, by 2003, 40% of women were on hormones. 40% of women in the States, 40%, maybe worldwide. I don't have the exact number, but 40% is the number that I've gotten. 40%, up from 25. That's a lot of women feeling really fucking good. That's a lot. Mm-hmm. So in 2003, the results came out, taking what I now know as a far outlying, statistically insignificant result about how HRT, specifically synthetic progesterone and synthetic estrogen, had increased the chances for breast cancer, right? They took the statistically insignificant thing and they positioned it to the press and to the government as being the whole thing, because they'd spent $1 billion on this study and it kind of was sort of a nil result. It did great for younger women, but older women, you know, it depends on when they started it. Some did great, some didn't do great, and they couldn't really justify $1 billion for this. So it got spun by this asshole who ran the WHI. He wanted to, according to my experts, quote unquote, sink HRT, literally sink it. And so I know, right? I'm pissed. I'm still, and this is why it's Nico Case and Margaret Cho, and I hope fucking Patti Smith will have an opinion about what we lost because of this. But like, really, they wanted to sink it. And he literally, there are interviews. I'm getting all the receipts. I'm doing interviews with these people, like all of it. I'm getting every single fucking receipt. This man, he admits this. He talks about how sometimes in a study, you don't get exactly the results that you want. So you sort of make the results that you want. So we did that. It gets so even worse. Up. Like even the original researchers and investigators weren't included in writing and drafting that results study that became like law, or ultimately at the basis of all midlife care in Journal of American Medicine. They were excluded of having any chance to even adjust it or fix it, because when the original researchers saw this, it was already done. They never got a chance to weigh in. And I'm talking to these people to get all of their receipts on it. When they saw this, they were like, you can't release this to women. This is going to destroy lives. This is going to kill women. You take 40% of women off of HRT, this is going to be a disaster for the world. But so that people at the WHI were like, okay, fine. You can change it, but give us your result. Give us your changes within 5 hours. This was all like a WHO conference. They got their results to them. 5 hours later, the publisher was like, why are you giving these to me? It's already printed and in warehouses. So the deed was done. It then went out. I know, right? I'm pissed. You're pissed. Yeah. This is what I'm going to piss everybody else off with. It's so good. It's so bad. It's so fucked up. But this is what they did. It got out there, and then it went to the press. And they just clung onto it. And on top of that, that motherfucker at the WHI, I just found an interview with him and Charlie Rose. And shortly thereafter, in 2006, he made it onto the Time 100 most influential people as saving women from HRT. So,
oh my God.
So this is sort of the very long story, but thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, sorry. It's so upsetting, but I mean, it's shocking and surprising, but also in the context of just, you know, this kind of patriarchy and this sort of, you know what I mean, just the general, just fucked upness of you know, that of the medical industry and you know, women's rights being subjugated across lines in history. It doesn't. It's shocking, but it also goes, well, okay, but how unnecessary would that be? You know what I mean? For to go after this. I mean, this is something, you know, we talk about, you know, HRT, it's hormone replacement therapy, right? I mean, it's, you know, I'll talk, I'm sure I've talked about it more in the intro too, just to kind of define some of the terms here, but it just, it's, I don't know. It's absurd and just so shocking, but I really feel like the word getting out and just, you know, the treatment and just the, you know, there needs to be a bigger movement. You know, I mean, there has to be more people demanding this, and that's part of it. Or I don't know. I mean, this is me as a third party. I'm speaking, you know.
Yeah, and I don't want to hear from you too, but but I just will say one thing, which is that when I talked to Dr. Langer about all of this, he was one of the investigators who wanted to change this before it went out, was not given the chance, and he's like, Alicia, good luck. I don't know how you're going to do this, because I'm like, I want to change this. I want to fucking change this. I know I can do it. I know I can, because I see the stakes and the cost from a creative perspective, knowing what was taken and cheated from women for the past 23 years. Think about it. Think about where we are right now, right? Right now. And how many shit motherfucking assholes are ruining everything for us, right? Everything. It's no coincidence, right? So he's like, well, you're going to have a really hard time dispelling the one narrative that's bigger than any narrative ever, even though it's completely false, which is that HRT causes breast cancer. Good luck. That's the opinion. Like, people know it. He knows it. Everybody knows it on a certain level, but nobody's been able to change the conversation. I want to change it.
Yeah. And I think maybe the focus on all the benefits of HRT, and that, like you said, if that one breast cancer item was statistically insignificant, that needs to be, yes, of course, there's a statistically insignificant chance of a risk here, down here, but here's all the other benefits. It's focus, it's mood, it's creativity, it's lessening anxiety and irritability, right? I mean, that's really when I'm doing it and talking with my circle of women friends, we're all talking about how it's helping, what it's helping to do for us. So I think just having those conversations is so important. And
well, it is, and so it's just, what's frustrating to me, like, there's not very many films about this at all. There's a couple that are good. There's like the M Factor is probably the most popular. Right. And I just watched it recently, and I've read so many articles that still constantly come out. Nobody has ever really asked why. Why did this happen? Who made this happen? How did this happen? I'm curious. I mean, I just am, like, and when I started digging into it, it just started getting darker and uglier and darker and uglier. And I was like, oh my God, like, we were violated. All of women were completely purposefully violated and cheated out of a life-giving thing that is perfectly safe for the vast majority of us to take till the day that we die. The Queen of England, 96 years old, just passed away on HRT. Just to give you some perspective. Wow. In the UK, they prescribe HRT to all women because as a preventative, because it makes it cheaper to provide nationalized health care. So like, perspective wise, we in America are, and not just America, because I'm hearing from women all over the world from Menopunks, which is blowing my mind. Like, this is like, it's radicalizing me in even a bigger way, because I'm realizing it's not just our fight. This is so endemic to the medical establishment, because the misinformation is so baked in that, like, you know, even if a doctor considers themselves like a good doctor and they want to help people, they're not oftentimes helping people, because they're like, well, the recommendation for HRT is still that, like, the revised ones are smallest dose, shortest amount of time, which is not at all what we should be prescribed at all. So it's dark, man. And, you know, like, you know, people talk, I'm sure you guys hear about this too, like, where are the women right now, right? Why, you know, obviously women need to fix all this shit, obviously. Like, women should obviously be in charge, obviously. Like, you know, in Finland, all women, of course, things are good there. In Sweden, you know, like, it's just, it's so obvious that women need to be president and all throughout government in a way that they haven't been, and we keep being shorted out of over and over and over again. But, you know, when the majority of women are fucking exhausted, irritable, sweating like the Wicked Witch of the West, or is that the East? Either one. And like, and just like having problems with their quality of life, is it any wonder that, like, multiple decades of women, boomers and the lost generation, which is the people who are now in their 60s, and Gen X, who are just feeling the giant, massive horribleness of menopause and perimenopause, isn't any wonder that this last 23 years, we've lost our hold on what we were gaining so much ground with Gloria Steinem and Ms. Magazine and feminism and abortion rights and like autonomy, bodily autonomy, and our rights to have business, our rights to vote. I mean, these are insane. What they're going for now is crazy, because they know that we are all in the motherfucking I do not care club. And you know what? For all that I love the I Do Not Care Club, which is like a viral meme thing, which is going on right now, it breaks my heart because that is, you know what I mean? Like, it's great because yes, I give
sentiment. Yeah, you want people to
like,
care and get pissed.
Yeah, like my club is I care so fucking much that I want you to understand the truth about HRT, or like I feel so good it helps me care so fucking much club or whatever. Right. I'll make it someday, but like that. We're literally in a moment where we're elevating the complaints and the realness about it, which is great. I think it's great, but we're not talking about how we can like fix it. Like, what is the cure to that suffering? Sure, it's great to feel like shit and to not care about looking good for anybody. I get all of that. But let me tell you, when you are hormonally optimized, you feel pretty fucking good. It's okay to put a sweater on again. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's okay to wear shoes again that aren't orthopedic because your body is healing itself again. You're sleeping again. You have collagen again. And it's not bad. It's not even synthetic. It's like the same stuff that's in your body. So the I Do Not Care Club, in my opinion, is completely endemic to the moment we're in, because as funny as it is, and like, I think it's wonderful for people to have a place to put that energy. It's literally the opposite. It's like exactly, as funny as it is, it's exactly why we're in the moment that we are in, because women are too fucking exhausted and hormonally compromised to care and to participate in everything that could change everything.
That's an amazing idea for a social campaign for menopause. Menopunks is to do that. Yeah. I care too much. I care so
I'm
much.
Hormonally optimized and I care too fucking much, club. Yeah. I'm going to start it. Mark my words. I just need to get financing for this movie and make it as fast as I want to make it. And like, this is crazy timing to try to get support for this. But like, I have a plan.
Tell us a little bit about your plan for the film. So when you do have it made, like what would you like to do with it? Where do you want to take it? What do you want to do with Menopunks?
Well, my plan, even though my producers, they doubt me a little, but if we can get financed within the next 6 months, at least beginning of financing from grants and people, whomever, donations, t-shirts, I don't care. If we can, even my credit card is big enough because I make commercials. I don't even care. I'm a part-time school teacher now, so I will go into debt for this. I don't give a shit. But my hope is that we can start filming, doing principal production in the fall. We've done basically our first 8 interviews with our primary core participants, which is Corin Tucker from Slater Kinney, Jody Bliley from Team Dresch, Kathy Foster from the Thermals and All Girls Summer Fun Band, Jen Spraja from the Softies and All Girls Summer Fun Band, and Gilly Hanner from Desire and originally Calamity Jane, who's like an OG Riot Girl punk band. I've got all those in the can, and that gave me sort of enough to make the concept teaser that you've all seen, that you've seen
on your website. Yes.
Yeah. So like that gave me enough for that. And people of course think it's already done because I'm also the editor and I've been doing this for a long time. Good. So it seems like it could just be the teaser to a whole film, but believe me, there'll be a lot more to it than that when the actual trailer is done. So I have that part done, but the next phase is really, it's 3 parts to the next phase. One is being able to have the support and the ability to follow these women through the optimization process. We're working with our incredible doctors, including the one I mentioned, Aoife O'Sullivan, who's a menopause specialist, as well as Dr. Nancy Yen Shipley, who's an orthopedic surgeon and a menopause specialist, and Dr. Andrea Matsumura, who's a sleep doctor and a menopause specialist. We're working with all 3 of them to see our women, our 5 Menopunks, 3 of which had never had any care whatsoever or have been gaslit out of it. So Corin, Kathy, and Jody are all completely different ends of the spectrum in terms of where they're at with their journey, but none of them have gotten any optimization and all have very different opinions. One is afraid of, history of cancer in the family, but has never had cancer. One has been told they're too young and not suffering enough. One thinks that, they'd rather stash them for their trans community than take them because they had a pretty decent menopause, but they don't see or understand the preventative aspect of HRT, which we didn't even talk about. But HRT or estrogen is the only thing that you can get prescribed to reverse or prevent osteoporosis. The only thing that women can get prescribed, the only thing. Right. HRT prevents dementia. HRT decreases your risk for breast cancer by 23%, right? Like I won't even include all the statistics because it would blow your mind, but this will give you 30% more longevity in your life. Like you can live another decade or more if you are optimized. I mean, what
with
Jesus?
quality of life as well. It's not just quantity of life, but quality of life. It sounds
no,
like
with your
it's,
quality of life being at its best,
huge.
like feeling good, like, you know, being able to enjoy your life and give of yourself to the people around you, to participate in the music scene or playing music or being the artist that you are, to make better art, to continue making your art. You know, I haven't finished telling you what's happening with the movie, but I will. I want to come back to the cost of this within art and culture and politics. So let's come back to that. But so basically, the first phase is kind of working with our core participants to get them in the hormonal optimization process and having us sort of experience that as the viewer, right? They're going to, you know, see them. We're not going to see in the doctor's appointment, but we'll be doing debriefs with them after and see a little bit. And they'll tell us how they feel. Are they going to move forward? What are they going to do? We'll check back in with them along the way, see how it was going for them. And ultimately in 6 months, if they did decide to start it, how do they feel now? How is that changing their creative process? Because let me tell you, they're tired and they're struggling. You know, they're not like, they wonder why they aren't as prolific or as, you know, energetic as they used to be, but they feel creative, but they just can't be creative, right? Like in their minds, they are the same person, but their bodies are fighting them, right? So that's number one. Number two, we've got to get all over the country to not only talk to these researchers and investigators who I've already done Zoom interviews with, but I need to get them in person. And I want to be there with my Dr. Aoife O'Sullivan, hopefully, where we can really take them to task and get it all completely on the record and all like laid bare for people to see, but like in a way that is also beautiful to my standard as a filmmaker, not just Zoom. So we're going to go to all these places and interview them one-on-one, and also potentially like get the people we're not talking to, like politicians, and hopefully the guy's still alive who wanted to sink HRT. If I could, I want to see if I could get him. And that might take some journalists helping me with that. But like, I want to get these motherfuckers pinned to the wall, man. Like, what the fuck? So this is why punk is so helpful for this, because we give no fucks, but we care too much. So we're going to do it. We're just not going to let them intimidate us. So that's the sort of second round of that. But that's also ties into the third thing, which is I want there to be a chorus of celebrity menopunk culture bearers, right? Who can really speak not only about their own experiences, but people that are our age or older, like my age or older, 55 and older, who can speak to the loss and the cost to them personally being denied this life-saving therapy, right? Like, I mean, I don't know if Patti Smith is going to be a part of this. I'm sure as hell going to fucking try, because I think she's a perfect person. Like, did she know? Like, was she taken off hormones like my mom was? You know, right. Was she, you know, what happened in that 10 years? She kind of disappeared after her husband, Fred, died, right? Like, and then she had to raise her kids. What else was going on? It was exactly the right time frame. Was she just too exhausted to deal with it? And like, what did she lose because of that? What did we lose culturally because of that? Musically, like if we had Patti those 10 years, like railing against the machine, letting her grief out to the people, maybe we would have gotten something else from her that she could have shared to help change a lot of lives, right? Like, what's the cost, you know, to her family? What's the cost to us, you know, for her fans? And then what's the cost politically, you know, to not have that? So I want this chorus of voices to really make this a fun movie. It's already going to be fun because I'm funny, and I know. I mean, even I've like directed comedy before. I made a web series called The Benefits of Gusbandry. I love doing comedy, so I try to really balance like the humor with the heavy, and try to find a way where you're like blown away, but you're also like laugh crying because you're like, this is so fucking funny, but oh my God, I'm going to stab myself in the head. This is too much. But hopefully I can find that intersection. So I want this course of sort of celebrity culture bearer, menopunk, and up to even boomers to talk about it, to give us their thoughts. Because I have a bet. I'm betting for this film and to change this conversation, which is what we really need to do. I'm just betting, knowing Gen X and even the lost generation, and maybe not boomers, but at least us and, you know, the people who were starting punk clubs in the 80s, those folks, you know, I have a feeling that if we're able to let them know the truth and get their full unfiltered response to that and their anger about that, to know exactly what happened to lead them to being deprived and violated, that there might be a conversation that occurs that's bigger than the one that's been had. I mean, Margaret Cho already said yes. Nico Case said yes. I got Bratmobile. They said yes. And then I want to work on lots of other people who are kind of, like I really want the different women, like Kim Gordon would be amazing. And women who are sort of older, who in their 70s, who, how did she get through it? Did she have to put herself down for 10 years and retire from polite society to then reemerge stronger than ever once she got through the miserable symptoms of menopause, even though if she's not on it, her bones are probably going to fall apart and, she's going to maybe have dementia because it protects from all these things. So that's kind of the three courses. And then my job as the filmmaker is to sort of weave those two together so that the audience gets to experience hormonal optimization in real time and hormonal radicalization in real time, right? Like
I love that.
we're seeing our idols, our icons, be real with us in a way that we've never seen. I mean, Corin Tucker, when we did that interview in the teaser where she's talking about feeling worthless at night, I mean, it was just me and her and two other people in the room. My God, it's not like I'm just a regular person I'm a musician, filmmaker making a little movie that I think is going to help me and my friends. And I'm listening to this and I'm like, oh my God, so many women will be helped by this.
And
because
younger women, I mean, like women that are on, young women that are on TikTok getting their medical advice from like TikTok, right? Like to be able to see more content of showing how women put the estradiol sticker on their stomach and they take the progesterone pill at night and they put the testosterone cream on their arm. Like to have those visuals in social native content is going to be so important for the younger generation too. Because even just a couple years ago, I didn't know how you take HRT. I had to ask my friends, well, what is it? It's a sticker? How often do you put the sticker on and off? How often? Our generation, Gen X, doesn't know about how to administer it. And now we're going to teach the younger generation what it is. Yeah. So they understand it visually. They know what it is. And I think
so cool.
And I think too, just from an ally perspective, from a husband perspective, obviously, from the male perspective, it's just like destigmatizing and just creating that conversation even amongst men and couples and across all boundaries. To just talk about it. Like, how is it going? How are you feeling? Have you talked about this? Just those conversations and allowing. I just think just in general, like our generation is so different than the ones that came before us. And I think, for many men in the punk community and in the kind of alternative, whatever indie community, it's so important for us to be allies, but we don't always know how to do that. And I think part of it is amplifying voices and part of it is being there and adding support. But from a medical personal perspective too, of just, hey, let's talk about all of this stuff. Let's have the conversation and let's support our wives, our daughters, our sisters, our aunts, everybody, you know what I mean? And just be there in that kind of way.
Absolutely.
That we can, there's just, I don't know. And again, it's certainly not about us, but it is about, having that, this holding that space and being part of a conversation and not ever feeling, I don't know, not feeling the stigmatization, like you say, like, well, is somebody, because it is about gender. It's about gender affirmation and in different parts of your life, as you're in long-term relationships, like, I don't know, what is our sex life like at this age? And what is our gender sort of like, relationships to each other because we're all aging and changing in different ways. And I know the meatheads and this Joe Rogan kind of world of like testosterone, low T, high T, we got to work out, get
oh my God, it's everywhere.
Kind of stuff. Like men go through hormone, or gender affirming processes, to like, are you losing your,
and there's probably misinformation on that side too. The men taking testosterone.
Yeah.
But again, I think it's an important conversation to be having across our kind of traditional gender roles, but again, just in everywhere, just to kind of, and just making it so normal and just making it feel like this is something that like we should all be talking about. That's how I see it.
Oh my gosh. I love you guys so much. I'm just talking about this because
we're so excited.
This is exactly, you fucking nailed it, Randall, because gender affirming care is for everybody. And I can't help but cuss a lot. It's very Gen X and punk rock, but the motherfuckers who are trying to stigmatize gender affirming care and put it firmly only on the shoulders of our trans community as a thing that only they can access. No. No more. Yeah. We as cis, het, not het, whatever the fuck, cis people, cisgender people, it's for all of us. It's for everybody. Gender affirming care is 100% Joe Rogan getting testosterone. Gender affirming care is 100%, your 80-year-old mother, like us getting HRT. Gender affirming care is absolutely trans folk getting optimized to whatever degree they want to be optimized. It's all the same. But by them coming through gender affirming care for trans folk, they're coming for us too. They're coming for you. They're coming for me. They're coming for all of us. Because right now we are about to rip the fucking veil off of this bullshit in the way that only Gen X and punk rock knows how to do, which is by opposing authority. We know how to do that. That's what punk rock is. And I honestly think that going through musicians, this is kind of why I think this lens might actually make a real dent in this conversation. Because look, Gen X also does not like to be sold to. And even though I'm selling t-shirts, yes, but that's just to fund the film, okay? But like, I'm not selling supplements. I am not like selling an industry of Naomi Watts skin creams. I don't fucking care about any of that shit. You know what I mean? Like, Gen X does not like to be sold to. We give no shit about what Oprah says. We give no shit about what Halle Berry says. I mean, they're cool people. I'm so glad that they're doing what they're doing. Some women are really going to care about that, but we don't care. You know what I mean? But we do care about feeling good. We do care about our quality of life, but we don't really know that we're being lied to. And Gen X women are also really stubborn, right? So like, if you think, well, it's going to tough it out. That's what we got to do. Chemical schmemicals. I mean, I've seen all the comments everywhere. Like, people are just all over the map with how they feel about it and think about it. And until they are personally optimized or radicalized, they're just like, which is also very Gen X and very punk rock to be stubborn, which I appreciate. But I really see an opportunity in going through the people that helped us get through life as musicians, right? Like Corin Tucker, her music, and Jodi's, all of these incredible musicians, like, they've been with me since I was in my 20s, not even as friends, just as music that has helped me get through the hardest moments of my life. And I think that their honesty about this resonates more than just with women. I think it resonates with every ally, every man who cares about music, who's ever listened to a Sleater Kinney record. Like, I'm calling the men in the Menopunks universe, you're going to like this, Randall, Menopunks.
It's great. It's great.
And my band is Party Witch. We have a new EP coming out soon, and we're going to make a music video for our first single called Fall in Line. We're going to steal some things from a couple different music videos, including the Nirvana. So it was like Team Spirit. We're going to do all men Menahunk cheerleaders as part of it. I hope this is the plan.
That's great.
There's many. I won't get into too much of this concept because it's still coming together. But anyway, so going through the creative process and the cost and the benefit to what we can bring to the world or what it takes from us, I think is really the crux to getting this conversation to lift outside of the Oprah zone and into like into the Rolling Stone fucking, Jezebel, like Vogue. Like, we need to be talking about it through our culture bearers and our musicians and the people that, I mean, look, Corin Tucker she's just an incredible human being. And if it wasn't for her on some level, like, this wouldn't be happening as quickly as it is, because she really, really, really believes in this. She doesn't know what she wants to do with HRT. Don't get me wrong. Like, she's not even sure it's for her. She's not sure because she thinks there's a cancer risk in her family, this, that, and the other. Like, she's confused like everybody, right? She's 52. She's a little younger than me. And she's like, I don't know what I want to do. I thought you saw the teaser. She's like, she really thought all that's getting sold to her is that it causes cancer and that causes dementia. And she's like, I don't want those things. I want to still be in Sleater Kinney. I want to have a life and a career. This is what I do. But
it's about having that conversation. It's about having that conversation and sharing the information and educating people too. And, really
and her generosity to be in the way of this conversation. And I hope the generosity of people like Margaret Cho and Nico Case and others, like, I would love to get like Missy Elliott and Queen Latifah and like go into the zone of hip hop, talk about that, or Dolly Parton. Let's go into country. Being a Menopunk does not mean you have to be a punk rock musician. It means you're a motherfucking punk against the system that's trying to keep you down. That is what a Menopunk is. Also what a Menahunk is.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for your time. Where can people go to learn more, and where can they donate? Give everybody that.
Okay, so just go to menopunks.com. It's all there. Or like us, follow us on Instagram, which is just instagram.com/menopunks. And then we're on FaceFart and all the other places. And then we are tax deductible donations can go through our website, which is amazing. We're fiscally sponsored by an incredible organization called the Catalyst Film Collective. So donate tax deductible there, or buy a t-shirt, merch. You can see my awesome.
She's showing it off. Yep.
Menopunks
stickers.
We love
sticker.
shirts.
I have just, look, I'm a musician. Okay. So that it's merch first, movie second. People are, this is what we do.
Yep.
And also like, I'm trying to approach fundraising from a different perspective. So I'm trying to get people into it and also representing, because it's been incredible to see how many women and people with ovaries, not just people who identify as women, have written me, like hundreds of people. This has been like literally weeks, not months, but weeks. Hundreds of women have written me self-identifying as Menopunks, or telling their friends, or be like, that's who I am. That's what I do. This is how I can be involved in this conversation. Like this is how we do it. So I'm excited to see this community grow, and hopefully, take over this horrible conversation that has really been bringing our entire generation down. Because much like you, like I'd like the world to be a better place for our kids and the generations that come after us, to optimize and radicalize our whole society so that we can be at our best, helping make a better world politically and culturally, because I can't live in this shitty fucking one that these assholes are trying to sell to us and are forcing us, like today, the day that they pass this big bullshit bag of bunk. Like, it's just absolutely like, what? Like, we know Gen X, we all know in our heart Gen X is going to make the difference here. We all know somehow. But I think maybe this is, maybe this is, I don't know. Maybe I'm just like stoned in the backyard trying to think of weird things, or maybe I'm onto something. I don't know. But like,
I feel like
something.
Yep.
I'm not always stoned in the backyard. Anyway, ending that.
Thank you so much, Alicia. I really appreciate it. Thank you for
you guys.
Time.
Thanks for all you're doing.
Yep.
Appreciate you.
Absolutely. Thank you for amplifying, and please, everybody, amplify Menopunks.
We will.
That's how we're going to do this. Thanks, guys.
Awesome. How rad was that conversation? Thank you, Shannon, for joining me on this this conversation. I loved getting to co-host the podcast with you. It's always super fun. And thanks everyone for tuning in. And don't forget, go to menopunks.com to buy the merch, to learn more about the story. Also follow Menopunks on Instagram. And support information getting out there, support local artists, support filmmakers. I really appreciate everyone taking the time to go on all these fun journeys with me, and and just culture and just life. I mean, this stuff feels so real, and I love coming across a story like Alicia's and her project that she's working on, and just being able to go like, how do I help? Let's go, all hands on deck. What can we do? We're a community, we're a culture. We do this stuff together, and I love seeing good, strong voices, especially women's voices, in the culture, and just being able to, hopefully provide some help and support to these projects and to these voices, and just get that information out there. And if you're curious about HRT, hormone replacement therapy, or optimization, or whatever works for you in whatever place you're in, like we talked about in the conversation too, like for men, like testosterone, wanes as you get older, and you can talk to your doctor about, getting testosterone, just as much as women, need to get, or have the availability. I think that's part of it too, is right. It's just, it's access to it, and it's not fear mongering. It's not lies that it will cause cancer, that it's this. I mean, you have to weigh out, your particular medical situation, but they're great conversations to have. And as we age, there's no reason that, that half the population should be held captive and kept away from, health benefits that are available to them with minimal downsides, if that's the case. You know what I mean? This is something that I'm very interested in, watching this space and seeing, progress be made. And everybody advocate for yourself, or advocate for those around you, and have those conversations that are sometimes uncomfortable to have. I think it's okay. You know what I mean? At some point we are the adults in the room, and our generation is our responsibility. And some of us, that are parents or caregivers, or, we're raising another generation that I would hope would ask questions. And especially in this time of, the rise of fascist America, I think just being a liberal, lefty, free thinker who has science on their side and has truth on their side and isn't swayed by all the garbage and propaganda. It's about, also just living our life, even in resistance to this fascism, but still, doing what you can for yourself and advocating for yourself and for your loved ones to really enjoy our time here, and in whatever way that is, not needlessly suffering if there's a better option out there for yourself, whether that's through weight loss, whether that's through exercise, diet, hormones. I feel like me personally, I'm just turning new leaves and just being open-minded about different things. I think I love to be crusty and complaining as much as anyone else, but I'm trying my best to really just keep an open mind in terms of health and in my own sort of quality of life advocacy. You gotta do the best you can with what you have and what you can and what's available to you. And that includes mental health, includes physical health, spiritual health, all of those things. You know what I mean? It's such a personal thing, but it's good to advocate for yourself and to go out of your way to ask how others are doing and what can you do, and to start conversations that maybe don't feel like they're always the right conversations to have, but sometimes you don't know what else to do. And especially in a relationship, to be there for your partner and to ask and to have those conversations about things. I hopefully Shannon and I have our conversation, share our personal conversation in this, can show some ways of doing it. We're definitely not perfect. I will be the first to say that, but I think I really appreciate and respect and love Shannon for being able to have conversations and just being open to talking about these things and sharing our life story and our adventure as we fly through space, hurtling on this rock, this spinning rock in the void of space. We can still have fun. We can still enjoy our time here while fighting the good fight. All right, everybody, be well. Have a good weekend. Please go out, support Menopunks, and buy some rad merch. And I'll see you on Monday.
We're all in bands, we're playing with each other. And why do we feel so good when we were feeling so bad 2 years ago? And we're like, oh yeah, we're all on HRT. What's that about? And so I was like, this is crazy. Like did you ever think you would be doing this at 55? Like what? This is weird. Like what is going on? And they're like, no, I did not. I go, I did not either. This is not what I thought would be happening 30 years ago at all. But actually, like I'm making better music than ever. I'm a better musician than ever. It's just, so we were all just kind of marveling at this. And I was like, this is what I want to make a movie about. I want to make a movie about us.